Hey guys, I hope everybody had a fantastic week. Welcome back to Ask Deadly. This is the weekly show where I read your guys' questions and do my best to give you guys my opinion or an answer on them. So let's get started. The first question this week is coming in from Mr. Always Karma. Do you live with your parents? No, I actually moved out when I was 17 and my parents are awesome, very supportive, and it was just my decision. I moved away to university and I just kind of stuck out there on my own, just choosing to live in a large variety of different locations. I almost move once a year, but this place that I'm in right now, it's actually a house rental and I've been here for a couple years now. I spent a lot of time living in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. I spent a year and a half living in Ottawa, Ontario, which is the capital of Canada as well. And now I am back on Prince Edward Island in just a small town. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I've always wanted to be on my own. Like most streamers, especially when they're getting started, definitely still live with their parents, even when they're really young, like the ones that start at the end of high school or early university. And I think there is definitely a negative stigma with that, but let's be real, man. If you are just an undergrad or you have a university degree and you're out there trying to find a job and you're unable to, you're paying down some massive debts, and there's absolutely no shame staying with your parents for a couple of additional years while you kind of find a place to land on your feet. And Shelby and I do plan on trying to build a house in the next couple of years, but we still got to save up a lot of money to get to that point. But that's the dream anyway. Next question coming in from Pasta Boy. Hey, do you think there'll be another graphical update, and do you think it needs to be one? Because I feel standalone looks too much like Arma 2 and bland. Oh, hell yeah, man. It sounds to me that you've actually been completely unaware that there was a massive graphical fidelity patch that came out just a few months ago to DayZ Standalone, which reworked the entire forest and a lot of the textures and lighting on the map. So if you've not seen that, I would check that out because the game looks completely different. And it also sounds like you haven't seen DayZ mod in a very long time in Arma 2. Go back there. I'll put some footage in this video, but if you think Standalone and Arma 2 DayZ mod look very similar to each other, I think you kind of need to take a second look, my man, because I completely disagree with you. They are just, DayZ Standalone is just so much more above Arma 2, and hell, I'm going to say it, even Arma 3. Hey Deadly, just wondering what software program do you use to edit your videos? It's always such clean and smooth transitions. I've been using Sony Vegas now in a large, like Sony Vegas 8, I think was the first editing software that I really started to use that actually costs any money. Windows Movie Maker Beta back in 2006 and 2007 basically had everything that Sony Vegas had, but for free. And I don't know what Microsoft was thinking, but they just destroyed Movie Maker and made it just a complete piece of shit. And it's so sad because I remember being like updating my Windows Movie Maker beta back in 2008, when then after the update I was completely unable to create any videos. Even though my videos back then were completely shit, I still couldn't do anything back then. And I remember just being super pissed. And Sony Vegas is a very expensive program, but I was just checking out the new prices on the Sony Vegas 14, and I'm currently using Sony Vegas 13, so I don't know if I need to completely update to 14, but it's actually going on sale for like $350, and I know that sounds like a lot of money, but trust me, whenever this goes off sale, it's a very expensive program, and in my honest opinion, far too expensive. I think they should probably sell Sony Vegas for like $199, and they'd probably see a lot more success with it. But recently, I've actually been thinking about moving away from Sony Vegas and trying to find another editing software. So if you guys have any recommendations, let me know in the comment section below, because I'm not going to say that I've reached my peak with Sony Vegas, but there really isn't much more than I can really do with the program. Like, I can edit together clips and I can do animations, but that requires me to do them in a third-party program like Photoshop or Flash, and I just don't have that much experience with that. And the transitions are okay, but a lot of them look really cheapened. And the text program on Sony Vegas is very basic and it doesn't look very good. You can't do like text tracking or any of the cool things that you can do in some other editing softwares. To my knowledge anyway. So if you guys have anything you'd want to leave me, I'd definitely like to take a look at some new programs in the comment section below. But Sony Vegas 13 and Photoshop combined is what I use to make my videos. I have moved on from DayZ to Escape from Tarkov. I believe Tarkov takes up less time to grind for loot and gives you a very similar rush when you're in PvP as Standalone does. Have you ever considered playing Star Citizen? It is first-person space shooter mode allowing you to PvP in 0G. Yep, I actually recently bought Star Citizen, but I'm not really going to be getting into the game, and I'm not going to be streaming it or making any videos on it until 3.0's release, because right now, Star Citizen, not only is it's very laggy for me, it's very unoptimized, there's not a whole lot that you can actually do in the game in its current phase, and it's very similar to the way Tarkov is doing it. It's instance-based for the most part. So when it becomes open world and it actually gets to the point where the game has finally come together, I will be actually playing it. Whether or not I make videos and stream it will just depend on my interest level and my knowledge for the game itself. Arma 3 DayZ mods are literally better. Literally. Okay, so let me break this down. I think DayZ and Arma, they're very great games. In fact, Arma 3 is a pretty good game. The only thing I don't like about the Arma franchise, or at least in Arma 3, is the damage models. It's just, they seem to be all over the place, and it just takes far too many rounds to actually kill somebody, I find, in Arma 3 than in comparison to Arma 2. In Arma 2, I really enjoyed that game, so that's why I really don't play a whole lot of Arma 3, is specifically because of the damage model seems completely off. Like a 7.60 by 54R isn't a very strong round in that game, which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Like, that should be like a one tap or at least like a one-shot knockout or something like that. But let's move on. Anyway, the main reason why I think the Arma mods are not as good as Standalone is simply because of player interactions. Most of the mods, if not all of them, severely lack any level of player interactions. That includes Breaking Point with the faction system, Edicts and Desolation, and all the other Arma mods. Not only that, the zombies just seem completely fucked up. Like, you think Standalone zombies are bad? Just go play one of those other zombie mods on Arma 3. It's terrible. It's just not immersive in any way, and they feel like they're at a place. Whereas at least in Standalone, they feel like they should be there. They should be a part of the game. Every single Arma 3 mod just feels like they're trying to rebuild Standalone, and without the survival mechanics at all. And that just doesn't feel right to me. So less encounters, less customization, little to no survival features. It's essentially just a last man standing perpetual battle royale with a mix match of multiple different mods coming together to try to give you a standalone style experience, but failing to do so. And of course, everyone always mentions the vehicles. Man, vehicles are really not that important in DayZ. Like, they are nice for traveling around and getting around the map quickly, but the DayZ is not about driving cars and flying helicopters. It's about interacting with other survivors in a survival situation. So yeah, all those little Arma mods, you can go into a shed and find like an M249 in like 3 seconds and 360 no-scope your buddies while like screaming at the top of your lungs while driving in the back of a pickup truck. That's fucking awesome, but that's not what DayZ is about, right? So those mods, they're great fun, but in comparison to DayZ, they just don't even come close in my opinion. With the beta release, do you plan on changing your playstyle? I mean, more interactions and creating stories, because I saw you struggle to find good content lately. Keep up the good work. Oh yeah, man, it has been what I've been calling the DayZ drought for me for the last probably month and a half. The level of content that I've been able to find in the interactions in the game has definitely not been as strong as I'm used to. However, today I do have to say I had probably the best encounter I've had in a couple weeks. An actual one where I get to meet other survivors and go through a really cool survival story with them with a really kick-ass ending, and I plan on uploading that sometime this week. So yeah, I think being a little bit more open and being a little bit more friendly, not being like a hero, quote unquote, but just kind of meeting a little bit more of that survival role. Like, if I don't have to kill somebody that I probably shouldn't, I should try to communicate, or at least take them and rob them and let them live. Like, trying to explore more interesting avenues like that. They're definitely not the safest approach, but they do provide you with more interesting encounters and stories, which is really entertaining to watch for the stream and here on YouTube. So it just really depends on who I'm playing with. If I'm playing with aces, we largely KOS. If I'm playing with Johnny, then there's a lot more encounters. If I'm playing with Markstrom, then it's a bit of a mixture. It just depends on who I'm playing with at the time and the play style and the rules of engagement. So I'd like to hope to see some more cool stories coming in beta, because there's a lot of people that are interested in it. Do you think that there should be NPCs to the game that would be able to carry out their own actions like hunting, patrolling, making camp, and such? I really hope that somebody makes a mod that has that feature, but I don't know if standard DayZ will ever have random NPCs throughout the world. I personally would think it would be a good idea as long as there's a fine balance between how crazy they are at combat. Like, are we talking Escape from Tarkov level combat, or are we talking Next Day Survival level content where NPCs are actually pretty easy to kill? So it would just have to be the difficulty level of the NPCs and also what their purpose in the world is. But I think for the standard DayZ standalone experience, there won't be any AI that are not infected on the map. That's kind of what gives DayZ its charm, but I'm hopeful that a mod will do something cool with it. Well guys, for all you Game of Thrones fans out there, tonight is the finale, and I must leave you guys now to go watch it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and also leave your questions for next week. And if you see somebody else who has a very similar question than what you want to ask, give them an upvote, because I read the top comments first. So anyways guys, hope you have a great week, and I'll see you guys next Sunday for some more Ask Deadly.